The bills piled up on the kitchen counter, each one a stark reminder of the mounting debt. They seemed to multiply overnight, each envelope adding to the growing sense of dread that filled the room. Sarah stared at them, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt a wave of anxiety wash over her, making it hard to breathe. The numbers on the bills blurred as tears filled her eyes. The weight of her problems pressed down on her. It was as if the world was on her shoulders, and she was struggling to keep it from crushing her. Every day felt like a battle she was losing. Losing her job had been hard enough, but now this? The uncertainty of the future loomed over her, casting a dark shadow on her once bright dreams. She felt trapped in a never-ending nightmare. Fear threatened to consume her. It gnawed at her insides, making her feel sick with worry. She couldn't shake the feeling that everything was spiraling out of control. How would she provide for her children? The thought of them going without was unbearable. She had always been their rock, but now she felt like she was crumbling.
The walls of her small apartment seemed to close in, suffocating her with worry and doubt. The once cozy space now felt like a prison, trapping her in her fears and insecurities. She closed her eyes, tears welling up. The weight of her emotions was too much to bear. She felt like she was drowning in a sea of despair, with no lifeline in sight. "God," she whispered, her voice thick with despair. "I don't know what to do. Please help me." She clung to her faith, hoping for a miracle, praying for strength to face another day.
Just then, the phone rang, breaking the serene silence of the park. Sarah, lost in her thoughts, was startled by the sudden sound. She glanced at the caller ID. It was her friend Mary, whose name lit up the screen like a beacon of hope. Sarah hesitated, her finger hovering over the decline button. She was tempted to ignore the call, but something deep inside compelled her to answer.
"Sarah," Mary's voice was full of warmth and concern. "How are you doing? I've been thinking about you a lot lately. I've been thinking about you. I know things have been tough, and I just wanted to check in."
Sarah couldn't hold back any longer. Tears welled up in her eyes as she felt the weight of her emotions. She poured out her heart to Mary, sharing her fears and anxieties, the things that kept her up at night. Mary listened patiently, her voice soothing like a balm to Sarah's soul. She offered words of comfort and understanding.
"Sarah," she said gently, "I know it's hard, but you're not alone. I'm here for you, and so is God. Have you tried giving it all to God? Sometimes letting go and trusting in a higher power can bring peace."
Mary shared her own story, a time when she too had faced overwhelming challenges. She spoke of how she had learned to surrender her worries to God, finding strength and peace in His presence. She reminded Sarah of God's promise in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Sarah clung to Mary's words and the hope they offered. She had been feeling lost and overwhelmed for so long, but Mary's words were like a beacon of light in her dark world. They reminded her that she wasn't alone, that there was a higher power watching over her. She realized that she didn't have to carry this burden alone. The weight of her worries began to lift as she sat there, absorbing the peaceful surroundings of the park. The gentle rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds seemed to echo the newfound calm in her heart. God was there, ready to help her through the storm. The sunlight breaking through the clouds felt like a sign, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is always a glimmer of hope. She felt a sense of reassurance, knowing that she could lean on her faith. Trusting Him wouldn't magically erase her problems, but it would give her the strength to face them. She felt a surge of determination, realizing that she had the inner strength to tackle her challenges head-on. The beauty of the park around her seemed to mirror the beauty of the strength she found within herself.
As she hung up the phone, a sense of peace washed over Sarah. The conversation had been difficult, but necessary. She felt a newfound clarity and purpose, knowing that she was not alone in her struggles. The bills were still there, but her fear began to subside, replaced by a glimmer of hope. The sunlight filtering through the trees seemed to symbolize the light at the end of the tunnel. She knew that with faith and determination she could overcome any obstacle. She knew that with God by her side she would find a way through. As she walked through the park, she felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. The path ahead might be challenging, but she was ready to face it with courage and faith.